right, everybody. Welcome to Trenton 3D session number 4. And today we are going to still go over some basics. And one of the basics we're going to learn today is sweep one rail. Very important tool. And we'll be adding in some other elements like the snaps is going to be important. We're going to create cross sections. And we may even do some polar array, which is another command that we will show off. So how are we going to show off sweep one rail? Well, let's start with the front view here. So I'm going to double click onto the front view and zoom out a bit. I'm going to grab the circle command right over here on the left-hand side. I'm just going to left click on that. And I'm going to type in, it's asking me center of the circle. So right now, I usually set up a hotkey called F4. So when I press F4, that usually snaps to the center. But for now, I want you to learn to type in 0, 0, 0, and then hit return. And that will be the center of the whole Rhino program. And we're going to come out 20 millimeters. And that's going to be your finger size for here. Okay, so we have a circle that is one curve. Okay, so now I'm going to double click on I want single click on the 4 viewports, so I get back to my viewports over here. And as you can see, the circle in the perspective. Okay, it's floating in the perspective. And now we're going to work on the right side over here. So here's the right side. You can see a thin line here. So I double click on the right side. And now this is the side view of that circle. You're just seeing it straight on. And we're going to concentrate on this bottom over here, where the bottom of the ring. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this rectangle tool, and I'm going to left click on the first rectangle tool. And then it says center. Okay, your first corner will be from the center. So we're going to left click on center. And right now I'm not snapping to anything. It's just floating around. So we want to make sure our snaps are on, and we want to snap to the quad. All right, so there's 4 corners to the circle. I'll show you from the side view here. So you have the top corner, the bottom. You see on the front view over here, you have the top quad, the bottom quad, the right quad, and the left quad. So we're really working on this bottom quad here, but we're working from the right view. And we're going to snap to it, and we have a box that I left clicked in order to snap to it. And now we have a box. So now our first measurement we're going to put in is 2 millimeters. And that now constrains it 2 millimeters width from the center. Now we're going to do 2 millimeters again, and now we have a box here. Okay, so let me show you from the perspective view here. You have a box, but it's floating in the air. Okay, it's floating in the air. And you know, you can actually sweep it like this, and sometimes I do use it like that. But in this case, we want this box here to be snapped to the bottom of the finger size. And the way we do that is we're going to go under transform, and we're going to use the move tool, which is the first option over here. And you click on it, okay? You can also just type in command line MOVE, move, and that does the same thing. It's asking me which object I want to move. I want to move this rectangle. So I left click on the rectangle to highlight it. It's now asking me that if I want to select other objects or that I'm done. Well, I'm done. So I can either hit return or enter or right click, which also activates it. So now from what point do I want to move it from? Now I don't want to move it from these endpoints here. That's no good, because if I move it from the endpoint, I'm just going to snap to the end. We don't want to do that. So make sure in your snaps you have mid selected. See down here on the bottom left, I just turned on mid. You know, if I right click on it, that's the only option. So now the ends don't snap anymore. It's just snapping to the mid. So I left click on the mid, and now I can move it however I want. So we go back into the right view, double click on the right view, and we want to make sure quad is selected. So we snap to the quad. Okay, so that's what I did. I left click to snap to the quad. Now you can see that the circle and the box are connected precisely at the quad, and we have the box that we need. All right. So now to sweep one rail. All right. We're going to go under the surface menu and it's sweep one rail. Okay. So it's asking you to select your rail. The rail is like a rail on a roller coaster, the ride. So the ride is going to be the circle, and the actual machine that rides, or the roller coaster itself, will be the box. So now it's asking you the cross section. So that's the cross section we're going to choose. All right. And then you right click. Now it's asking where the seam should be. Right now you can just leave the seam here, but like a seam like this, I'd probably put it in the middle. And I just shift the seam, but you honestly didn't need to do that for this demonstration, but I just wanted to show you that. Right click again. Now it has a bunch of settings here, but we're just going to use the default for now. Hit OK. What do we have? Well, we have a wire mesh. Now, if you guys remember from my previous lessons, you have to go on the perspective, hover over it, right click and click on shaded. And now you see we have a band that we just made. Okay. And what's really cool is we can do so many different things with this band. It's a basic metal wire band, exactly the dimensions that we wanted, and can be used for making a bunch of different designs. And we'll get into that a little further. So you're unmuted, Mayfield. Go for it.
Okay. All right. That was cool. I mean, I'll just go back and watch when you post the video. And I'll just like set up my second screen and I'll just pause you so I can like do it and then go back and watch another segment and then pause and then go do it.
All right. So let me just go from the beginning.
Okay.
So basically, I do the front view because the front view is like, your finger going through. So I'll show you what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I believe 20 millimeters is like less than a finger size 6. I forgot exactly. Mm-hmm. I have to look it up. But just be careful because when I have it set to radius. If I was to switch it to diameter and type in 20, it's going to be like double the size. That would actually be
okay.
Okay. So make sure when you choose a circle, okay, and remember what I said about the center is 0, comma,
yes.
0, comma, 0.
Yes. Okay.
You hit enter and make sure it's set to radius. And when you punch in 20, now and you remember how you double check? You go linear dimension, snap to the quad, and it says 20. See that?
Oh, that was something I wanted to ask you about because I couldn't remember how to do that. The linear dimension thing.
That's right over here. Do you see the icon? Linear dimension?
I'm watching. Okay, I'm watching that. It's like those little lines.
Yeah. So here, now watch this. So I'm going to now extrude this. I'm going to explode it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to delete that. So that's basically your finger.
Okay. Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. But we have the curve. Here's the curve. The curve is still there. So I'll put this in a different layer so you can see it. So I'm going to add a layer, new layer, right click on the layer, change object layer, and change the color. And I like something like cyan, and then you can really see it. Mm-hmm. All right. So now I'm going to switch to that layer. So we're going to now go over here to the rectangle tool. Left click on the rectangle tool and choose center. And then I'm going to snap to the center, and I'm just making a 2 by 2 millimeter box by hitting 2, enter, 2, enter. Now, the tricky part is if I was to sweep this, okay, do you see a portion of it will be inside the finger?
Yes. So you want to pull it down.
So you want to pull it down. So, but we want to pull it down precisely.
Right.
So it lands right on. I can sweep this right now. So if I do choose the curve and I sweep one rail, hold on, the shortcuts are not set up. Sweep one rail. If I do this, do this, sweep it. It still works, see? But you see it's cutting inside the finger?
Right, yes.
Okay. So to get it precise, I'm going to go transform, move, and I'm making sure I'm snapping to the middle of that rectangle curve. You see it says mid. You see down in the bottom left, you have your different snap options.
Yes.
Okay, you have to make sure you see where it says on snap has to be turned on. It's the same thing in Mac, but it might be a different position.
Okay.
So you have to make sure on snap is turned on. You have middle selected and quad selected. All right. So it's asking the point to move from. So you're going to move it from that middle down to that quad by left clicking. Okay. So now it's moved. All right. And then surface, sweep one rail. It's going to ask you, what's the rail? So the roller coaster tracks is the circle. The actual roller coaster is the box. And then you right click. You don't have to move the seam, but I do because that puts it right in the middle, which is where I prefer my seams, just in case I need to put diamonds and I have a seam that I can follow. Right click and hit OK. Now you can see the seam. You see the seam is right there. It's right in the middle. So that's, imagine this is wrapping around. So imagine this is going one up, down, and around. And this is the middle of the seam. This is a starting point, and then it wraps around and ends over here. So that's why they call it the seam.
Okay.
All right. Maybe a little confusing at first. It's not that big of a deal at this point, but I just want you to get that basic understanding. Now, what's really cool is if I delete this and I take this box here and I work on the right-hand side over here, and I decide I want to make this like this wide. And then I choose the curve and I surface, sweep one rail, choose it. And now I have a much fatter ring. Okay.
Yeah.
But here it gets even cooler. Now we can go, I'll take my polygon tool here and I go make like a pattern like this. Select it, trim. So I'm going to trim this. I'm going to trim this. I'm going to trim that. 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 I trim that. I trim that. Right click. Okay. To end the command, make sure you join it. So now it's one curve joined. And now when I do surface, sweep one rail, choose it, right click, hit OK. Now check out this cool pattern that we just made, a cool new ring design.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah.
Render it. Boom. You know?
Yeah.
So you can do all kinds of stuff, you know, you can get kind of funky with the designs. So that's what is the main lesson for today, because I want you to make a bunch of these cross sections. This is called the cross section here.
Right. Okay.
See the part that I highlighted?
Yeah. Yes.
That's the cross section. And I want you to come up with like different designs, make your own, you know. You can do a pyramid, you can do a bunch of circles, waves.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one lesson. Now I'm going to give you one more lesson. Okay. So I'm going to undo. And all right. So stay quiet for now. And I'm going to show you the next lesson. Okay, we're back. Next lesson. Let's do something called polar array. Now, I don't have any diamonds, but that's okay. I'm going to make beads. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to go over to the sphere tool. So I left click on the cube and I hold it down and I go over until I get to the sphere and I let it go. And now I have it selected. It's asking me, where do I want the sphere? Let's just start with the center by going 0, 0, 0, and then hit enter. And let's make this sphere 1.8 millimeters. Hit return. And that's too big. Okay, because we are in diameter. So 0, 0, 0. Make sure you switch to radius. See up here? Switch to radius and now hit 1.8, hit return, and now we're good. All right, so now we have the bead the right size. So now I'm going to transfer it down. Now we're going to use Gumball for the first time. The way I use Gumball, I can select, I can select the sphere and pull it down, or I can use these arrows and pull it down. So I'm going to use the green arrow, pull it down to about there. So you look at it, it's a slightly halfway showing at the bottom. Here you go. See, it's poking out. So we have the sphere poking out right now. Now that could be a diamond. It could be a bead that you want to play around with. And we're going to do this really cool command right now. So let's deselect it for now by left clicking on the screen. All right. And we're going to go from the front view. Now it's important what view you're in, and I'll show you why. But so right now, for this purpose, we want to be in the front view over here. Okay. I'm going to go shade it so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to change the bead's color by switching its layer. So I'm going to choose the bead, create a new layer, right click on that layer, change object layer, change the color to say gold, and hit OK. So now it's gold. All right. And we're going to go under the transform command. And under the array menu, we're going to choose polar array. Left click on that. It's asking you select the objects to array. Always read your command line. It's telling you and asking you what to do. Select objects in the array. We're going to choose this bead. All right. And you can choose more than one object if you like, but we only need the one object, and we're going to hit return or enter or right click. I like right clicking. And now it's saying, where is the center? Well, what have you learned today? 0, 0, 0 is the center of the Rhino universe. You hit return. Now it's asking how many items. So that means how many of these beads are going to go around this object. I'm going to say, I'm going to try, I don't know. Let's see how many 13 looks. I hit return. It's asking me to fill in the angle. It's automatically set to 360 degrees. So I'm just going to hit return again, and there we go. All right, do I like it? Now the command is not over. So if I can look at it and say, well, that doesn't look like enough. So I'm going to go back to the items over here. 13 items, not enough. Let's actually double that to 26 items and hit return. Oh yeah, that's much cooler. All right, so let's end the command by hitting right click. And now we have put all these beads around the design. And you have yourself a cool design. All right, so that's polar array. Question and answer time. Go for it, Mayfield.
Okay, that was cool too.
You could do anything. You do pyramids.
Yeah, cones. That might be uncomfortable, but you could do it.
Yeah. So, but usually what I do, this is for putting the diamond. So, you know, I put a little tighter than this. I'd actually go tighter. I would choose this.
Yeah.
I go here, and then I get transform array polar from the center. So 0, 0, 0. We're at 26. Let's try 32. Yeah, that's better. So that looked like what maybe even a little tighter. I'd actually bring the diamonds a little tighter. But you get the gist of it. So that's polar array lesson for today.
So are you putting the beads on just so you know where you want to place the diamonds? Like you're just doing that? No,
if I was going to do that as if I was going to do that as a placement for where the diamonds, if I was going to hand set it, I'd probably make the bead a little smaller, and then I would choose the surface. I go Boolean Difference, and I'm going to right click and select the objects that I want to use to subtract with, and then I'm going to hit enter when I'm done, and that's what I would want.
I was wondering, I was like, is it like a gypsy setting, or do you go in later and put claws on?
Yeah, so I mean, you could build it all in the CAD if you like.
Yeah.
But cool. Certain things you don't want to do in the CAD because you rather use a chisel or you rather use hand tools in order to do it. But marking where the diamonds go is definitely something you want to do.
Yeah, and then you don't have to do it.
Right, later. You don't have to. You don't have to do it later. So you want to do as much as you can in the CAD prior. I would also add again a little bit of. So you see these sharp edges here.
Yes.
We don't want sharp edges. So one things I would do is I would go under solid, and this is another tool I'm going to teach you. It's called Fillet Edge.
Okay.
You click on the Fillet Edge, and it's asking you the radius. If we do 1 millimeter, that's way too much. So we're going to do 0.2. Hit enter, and now I'm going to select the edge. Right click, and it didn't do it. Now, why didn't it do it? I'll tell you why. Because it went beyond and it filleted into this error. So what we got to do is we got to go back from the Boolean difference. Now go under solid, fillet the edge. Point 2 is going to work now because now there's no holes in the way. You see it, fillet the edge. You see what the Rhino is very specific.
Okay.
Now, if I do the Boolean difference, it should work, or it might give me an error. So if I go and I do Boolean difference, right click on the objects by selecting them on the layer, hit enter when I'm done. Let's see if it works. And it worked. See, so this way it worked. But if you try to do it, you see how the fillet cut it was in.
Right. Yes, it cuts into the circle.
So that's why fillet had a hard time figuring out what to do here, but it was easier for it to just subtract it after it was done in the first place. So a very specific thing to remember. All right. And whenever you do castings, you never want to have sharp edges, as little as sharp edges as possible. So you can see the sharp edge over here. I would try to fillet that as well. So you go in there, fillet, and at worst you go at minimum 0.1, and then you just choose those edges, right click, and that's better for casting.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Also you want to pre-build your spruce. So say you have this design, say this is the actual design, no diamonds, but you have a bunch of beads going, right?
Yes.
Right. You don't want to 3D print this as is and give it to the caster because he's gonna like, where do I put the spruce? So he'll put it wherever he wants.
Right.
So what I would do is I would build a little spruce system. So I would make like a curve like this. I would then go under solid. Here's another command I'm teaching you, pipe. And then I would do, I don't know, 2 millimeter. That's too big. 1.3. That's pretty good. Now you see the part that is sticking out? I wouldn't want that. So I would come in, choose it. Now with the gumball, you can actually scale without having to like do anything except see that green box? I'll just push it in a little bit and now it's scaled it. So you see it's there.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So now he has a place to put it, you know, and if you really want to get fancy, you can go transform, rotate from the center, 0, 0, 0, hit enter. Copy, yes. See where it says copy? Switch that to yes. Start from the bottom. Rotate it. Right click and you're done and you made a copy. And then if you really want to get fancy, you're going to put a sphere in the middle. Like that.
So he can connect.
Yeah. And then when you're done, you just cut here, here. Keep the metal, return the metal, whatever you want to do. But that way your design is perfect from the casting and you have plenty of metal flowing and you're going to have no porosity or not no porosity. You know, you always have porosity with casting, but you have much nicer, cleaner castings.
Cool. All right.
I think that's enough for today.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll see you next week and I'll order the stuff.
Perfect. And then
when I'll just call you or I'll email you when I get it. And
so your homework is basically make those cross sections, sweep like first of all, here's your homework.
Okay.
Write this down.
I'm writing.
I want you to look up finger size measurements in millimeters. Get a chart, print out a chart. I want you to make a finger size 6 ring. I want the width of the ring to be 3 millimeters. I want the height of the ring to be 2 millimeters.
Okay, hold on. I'm still writing down look up finger chart, do size 6. Okay, what was it next? You wanted the ring to be
3 millimeters wide.
Okay.
2 millimeters tall.
Okay.
Okay, and square.
Okay.
And I want you to fillet the edge, 0.2 millimeters.
Okay.
On the top and 0.1 millimeters on the inside.
Fillet edge, 2 millimeters on top. And you said 1 on the interior?
0.1 on the interior.
Point one.
Yeah, 0.2 on the top.
Okay.
0.1 on the inside. All four corners have to be filleted.
Right.
I want you to build a sprue just like I did.
Okay.
And then I want you to put 2 rows of beads, 1 millimeter each.
Why do I feel like I'm not going to be able to do this? 2 rows of beads, 1 millimeter each. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, whatever, like something similar to this. So maybe like 33,
okay.
Something like that. Do one row in the middle and then do another one with 2 rows of beads. I want to see if you can figure that out on your own.
Okay.
And then I want you to make several versions of the cross section.
Okay.
Like I did. Make a pyramid, make, you know, domes, make whatever, make zigzag, come up with a bunch of different things. And I want you to sweep one rail. I want you to array the beads, and I want you to make the sprue, and I want you to fillet the edge. These are all really basic commands that you need to know.
Okay. Fillet edges. Okay. Okay. All right. We'll see how I do.
Awesome. And then let me know if you need help ordering and or setting up your Rhino.
Okay. I'll probably need help setting it up, but I'll just let you know when I get to that point.
Yeah. First things first. Windows, number 1.
Okay. Windows, number 1. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Have a great one.
Likewise.